Happy holidays, wrestling friends, and welcome to a holiday edition of Smarknado. I'm your host, Eric Druckman. With me, as always, Danta Claus himself, Dan Sesnet.
What's up, my friends? Is that High Times hat a Christmas present? I love it.
Oh no, I just haven't worn it on the show before, but it was when I was in Denver.
Oh, all
I
right, all
had,
right.
yeah. I went to the High Times dispensary. It
Oh,
was
all
a
right.
cool piece of merch that I picked up.
Right on, right on. Yeah, man. I am just getting over illness, so if I sound a little nasally, that is why. And I'm extremely tired because we did the Christmas wrapping today and last minute shopping. But I fit in a lot of wrestling this week, and I'm proud of myself, even though I started a new job and all that. So I'm here. I'm raring to go.
Congratulations, man! I'm glad that you have found a new job.
Right.
And I'm glad that the job has given you the time still to watch plenty of wrestling because there was a lot of good stuff going on this
Ample
past.
opportunity. Yeah, there was a
And
lot of good stuff that went down.
yeah, we're gonna talk about a lot of it. One of the first thing I wanna cover here is Saturday night's main event. That's
Hmm.
where we had left off. We had done the preview for that,
Yeah.
and I would say that there were two really big things that came out of the show.
Hmm.
The first being that we have actually our very first WWE Women's United States Champions.
And
And
boy, were we wrong.
what was that?
Boy, were we wrong on so many accounts.
We were wrong, but I was happy to be wrong because it's the results I wanted.
Yeah, it is the result. I
Yeah,
was I was rooting for you in that moment because I was like, no, this isn't gonna happen like that, right? Like Chelsea Green's
I
good,
think
but
I love it, and
I do
I
too.
think that she has really proven herself, and she's become a believer in the WWE audience. Fans love her, man, and
Yeah,
like I don't know, she kind of I don't know, maybe did they turn her baby face at some point?
I mean, she's kind of a de facto baby face now. She's just a sassy one. But to me, like, I just thought it was going to be more of a work rate, stalwart
Yeah.
like a Bailey, right?
I
It
don't
just
like the established work rate person. Um, but as I had told you last week, where my eyes were opened in a match that I saw of Chelsea Green versus Pentagon Jr. from Lucha Underground.
I
And
found that match and I never ended up watching it. That's unfortunate. I should take a
yeah,
look.
you should watch it just because like it made a believer out of me that like, oh, okay, like Chelsea can work like a full throttle style. It's just
Yeah.
not like it's not her character presentation.
Speaking
It's
of Penta, and I know we'll get to SmackDown a little bit later or Raw a little bit later, but did you happen to catch the Zero promo?
yeah. Uh, the Zero Miedo.
Yeah, it wasn't like a promo necessarily, but it was like a teaser, and people seem to think that it might be for Pentagon.
What? No, I did not see that. Was
Oh,
it?
okay. Let me.
What?
It
What
was
show
just.
was it on?
I want to say it was on SmackDown uh last night, but let me just pull up my results. I'll
Hmm.
or the other night. I'll find it.
Well,
Uh
listen, I don't know that. But since we are still on the subject of Saturday night's main event, you did
yeah,
bring up Pentagon.
yeah. Uh-huh.
Did you catch Cody's fingers after he got the package pile driver from Kevin Owens?
No, did he do
He
the
was
zero?
doing the
Yeah,
Zero Miedo.
did he? That's awesome. I didn't catch that.
Yeah, it's like a little Easter egg that he gave to everybody.
That package pile driver popped me big time though. I'll tell you what, because I never thought I would see that on WWE TV.
Absolutely, man. It's so good. I think I am one of the supporters of this thing of the pile driver just being like a very like uh shocking move to do in WWE because it is banned. And I know that it's a move that just happens very casually everywhere else. Um, but I think that how WWE has presented it, it just brings it so much more importance. I don't know. You know what I'm trying to say, right?
It makes it feel more devastating in the moment
Yeah.
because it is a bad move. But like with everything else, they will ultimately beat a dead horse. I do
Well,
believe.
well, we'll see. But just going back to Kevin Owens doing this move. First of all, I think everybody should know that Kevin Owens, Kevin Steen, he was the one that popularized this move. He was the one that really brought it to North America, and there wasn't. I think there were other people doing it. I recall Aja Kong doing it way back in the day.
Yeah.
But Steen made it so popular, and he's the one that I associate with that move most of the time. And
what is the other move that he did Ring of Honor that he definitely can't do in WWE? The Steenalizer, is that what it was called?
Steenalizer, that's the one where he
The
kind of like
suplex.
he does like a package power bomb, and then he throws the guy over his head into the turnbuckle.
It's
his head hits the turnbuckle. You guys can probably see a GIF of that or something. Yeah, but that ain't happening.
No,
really anywhere. I don't even think AEW would allow that.
No,
even though Darby would just be like, "Can you do that to me on the concrete, please?"
Yes. Can you please kill me with that move?
But anyway, I thought the story of Cody Rhodes versus Kevin Owens was so good. For Cody to be conflicted with this idea of now that the chair is into the equation, do I cheat? And then he chose to cheat. And I think that this is part of the long game of Cody Rhodes turning heel. The short end of this is I think this is going to stay within a Kevin Owens Cody Rhodes feud with each other. But I think that this is just going to be a small piece into the eventual heel turn of Cody Rhodes. And I say long game, meaning a year or maybe even more until he turns heel. But this is just going to be part of that story of how Cody ended up turning bad.
Hell, they could do it sooner if they wanted to, truthfully, because they could do a double turn. Kevin Owens is good enough to end up being the guy that turns babyface and ends up chasing Cody, the heel version, because he's not wrong in a lot of the stuff he's said, right? So it's easy to turn a crowd for a guy that's basically right. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah, but it just great stuff, man. I know you being such a belt nerd, and this is my personal favorite WWE title too. They brought back the Winged Eagle for this show, and it looks better than ever. And I love that it is going to continue to be part of this storyline for the fact that Kevin Owens has taken that title. He's called himself the real WWE champion. We've seen this storyline before.
Yeah.
But it works in this instance, especially because Kevin Owens feels like he did get screwed over for being beat by cheating. But he himself was also trying to cheat at the time. So it's how bad do you feel for him? But also a character flaw of Cody.
If any two guys can take a storyline and rehash it and still entertain me, it's going to be Cody and KO, right? It's not going to be other schlubs.
Absolutely, man. It's awesome, and I love that they really have gone so well with the storytelling and little scenes and whatnot can play a big role into the future for storylines, planting seeds and stuff like that. That type of long-term storytelling was missing for so long in WWE. It's great that they're putting this much effort into these storylines because it would. I just feel like if this feud right now happened 5 years ago, Kevin Owens would be coming out onto the stage and telling everyone how much Cody stinks and somehow feces is going to be involved in the storyline.
Feeding him dog food, probably.
Yeah. It would just be absolute fucking trash. But it's great, man, and people have said too about WWE. Oh, they need to bring the Attitude Era back, and I think that
No.
there's like I think that the idea of them saying that, like the casual fans saying that, is they want there to be an edginess to what they're doing. And you know what? I feel like it is edgy enough, but
Yeah.
you can be edgy and still be TV PG and not be corny.
I think it's edgy enough. I don't think they need to rehash the Era. The Attitude Era, like
For as many great things that there was a lot of filler garbage.
there was more bad than good in the Attitude Era.
Mm-hmm.
I will
But
stay.
what was good was like legendary and is going to be like held
Yeah,
high in our hearts forever. And I think
sure.
that's
But
what
that
gives
was
people
characters.
rose-colored glasses.
That was guys in the business that you're never gonna recreate, no matter how hard you try. So like,
Mm-hmm.
just let go of it. Like, I hate to be the new era kind of guy, but do what you're doing and stop worrying about the past. And I don't think that that's what they're doing at the WWE level, but fans that are clamoring for something
Yeah.
that they don't need. Like,
And another thing you have to remember as a fucking as an adult, like your most like cherished memories of like popular media is always going to be when you were like 8 years old, 10 years old.
and for me, the Attitude Era, I was a little bit older, you know what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
like, I was experiencing it as in my, late teens, and it was different then for me, but yeah, I mean, we want to look back fondly, and I get it, but man, like, I go back on just everything in my life when I remember it, and I'm like, oh, that was awesome. And then I listen to it again, and I'm like, ooh, that was not great. Like, whether it be a band or read a book that I read 20 years ago again, it's just it's a sense of nostalgia. Yes, I get it. You want it to be good, but most of the time it's just not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man, it's part of growing up.
Yeah,
Like and then there are just certain people, like you said, there are certain people in wrestling like Stone Cold Steve Austin. They've
one
tried to
time.
make people Stone Cold Steve Austin so many times, and you can't do it because there's only one Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, like KO is in that vein, but he's still never gonna be Steve Austin, right? Cody Rhodes is in the vein of, Kurt Angle, but he's not gonna be Kurt Angle, I don't think,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah,
On that level. No matter how hard he tries. I just I don't know. It's comparisons are tough in the wrestling business. I hate to see it because there's so many talented people that are doing their own thing. So,
nobody is going to live up to someone's expectation that they made in their head of somebody.
that's yes. Never meet your heroes in that sense.
Mm-hmm.
But
Absolutely.
anyways,
All right. So, all in all, I thought Saturday night's main event ruled. I
A
thought
plus.
Jesse did exactly what he was supposed to do. Jesse Ventura just acted like the Jesse Ventura of old.
Yep.
He just went out there. He called out, some of the flaws of the baby faces, and was the first one to point out that Cody cheated to win.
Yeah.
He stuck up immediately for Liv Morgan.
Not somebody I would want to see regularly, but that
no,
was
but like for these special appearances, like if they're gonna do Saturday night's main event like once every 3 months or something, it's perfect to have Jesse on.
I don't know about once every 3 months, once a year maybe.
Well, I think the next one is like going to be in February or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
On NBC
so
again?
I don't know how often it's going to be. Yeah, it's going to be on NBC.
Well, that's good. I mean, if they keep putting together shows like this, I'm all for it. But I don't know. Like,
I think it was perfect in that they had infrequent appearances from Jesse.
He did the main event and the opening of the show.
He just did the main event and like in the opening he was there, and then like midway through the show he put in a comment.
Yeah, he did a really good job. I just don't know if I would want to see it all the time. But maybe I've been wrong in the past. Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, he's not going to be too involved, man. You know, he's a special appearance. I think it's great. It just gives that Saturday night's main event flavor. You know, it's great. I love. I can't get over it.
I hope
Just
they
a
don't start
great thing.
using Hulk Hogan. That's all I have to say.
No, they're not going to do that. Come on,
Um,
let's not get ahead of ourselves. Um, Something else that's happening in WWE right now that has kind of piqued my interest because I had a thought, and this may be something shocking. I don't know if everybody else is thinking the same thing right now. Maybe they are, but I just wanted to get your opinion on it. Obviously, you know that right now Jade Cargill is gone. I don't know the reason why she is gone, but in storyline, she got attacked, and you know they're trying to figure out who the attacker is,
mhm.
right?
Yeah.
And right now, Naomi has come in and she has replaced her and is like an interim champion. I think it's Naomi.
Yeah,
And
you had mentioned that a little while back too, and I mean it
like,
makes sense. I've just Naomi has such a connection with the fans,
I
man.
know, and that's why I think it's like I see it coming, but I don't necessarily want it to happen.
I
You
don't
know?
necessarily want it to happen either. I think an interesting swerve would be to have it actually just be Bianca,
Oh, she had a
right?
cargo.
Like to me, yeah, she's like she's says she wasn't carrying her weight or whatever, you know what I mean? And
I
but
think that's interesting, but also like my thought immediately is like, even under those circumstances, do the fans will themselves to cheer for Jade Cargill over Bianca?
no,
You know,
probably not. Probably
and
not.
I also maybe it's also possible that like Jade faked it. I don't know.
Who knows? It's interesting. I like a good mystery. But Naomi's the obvious, easiest to point your finger at because she's the one that had
Mhm.
something to gain something.
Right. Yeah. So that's definitely got me thinking. Um, who knows?
Yeah,
Could be Bailey also.
good. Could be Bailey also. All right.
Another thing that happened that you guys may have seen last week too was the shocking heel turn of DIY on the
I
Motor
like
City
this move.
Machines. I
I
like
like
it too.
I like
I
this
like
move
it too.
because they're just Gargano is just much better as a smug heel than he is as a baby face. I just don't think the crowd was buying him as a baby face.
I think that even this past week, like Gargano's first like heel promo actually hit, and like I don't think he's had like a decent babyface promo since he's been on the main roster. If I'm
No,
being
he
honest.
nothing. None of that rah rah shit has sold me. And
Mhm.
Ciampa's better as a heel too. It was
He's the
it,
fucking psycho killer, man.
yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's better as a heel. Gargano's better as a heel. It just works. And they're the champs, which makes it even better. You know what I mean? So
Mhm. Yeah, they really fooled the machine guns, and I love the machine guns winning the title so early, but hey, if a storyline is good enough and there's a reason to for them to drop the championships, I'm all for it. And this is definitely just one of those
I mean,
situations.
it is credible immediately, and I liked what they did with it because I mean
Mhm.
the initial rumors that they were going to NXT and they fooled everybody on that one. And just kind of left field, boom, boom. So I loved that. But you're right. As soon as championship reigns don't have to be long to be special. I mean, they can be Gunther, but not everybody is Gunther. Not everybody is Roman Reigns. So you can still make an impact as a champion, and I think that they did that on their first night in the company. But Gargano and Champa are just the very much the heart and soul of the tag team division, right? Like when they are a tag team.
For sure, man. I thought their matches with the Revival were some of the best ever in terms
Yeah.
of tag team matches in WWE, not just NXT, in all of WWE history. Those were some of the best tag matches I ever saw.
Yeah. I mean, I'd have to go back and watch them to get the feeling back,
Mm-hmm.
right? But I know what you're talking about. I mean, FTR has that kind of series of matches with a lot of different people.
Yeah,
So they are the common denominator in a lot of that. But boy, if that wasn't a memorable NXT run,
for sure, man. And speaking of NXT tag teams that are finally getting their due too, I think it's incredibly cool that the War Raiders have come back. I thought it was incredibly cool how on last Monday on Raw, and we're recording this Monday afternoon, 12:23. But last Monday on Raw, they did video packages on the War Raiders just as real people, not as the fucking silly late 80s WWE Viking gimmick that they were trying to give them.
Yeah.
And just like their personal struggles of what they've went through, how they've come to this point, and they're finally going after the tag titles. And I think it really at least it got me very emotionally invested to want
Yeah.
to see that win. And then they finally got their moment, and they won the WWE World Tag Team Championships on Raw.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is the beginning of all is right in the tag team world in WWE.
Yeah, I missed the vignettes.
Over-
I'll be honest with you. I didn't see that stuff, but I did see the match. And the War Raiders are a very unique tag team. They can do things that not a lot of other tag teams can do, and it's their time. And they were always a Triple H pet project. So I'm glad that it finally came to fruition because they're really talented dudes.
Absolutely, and I'm just glad that they're not silly characters anymore. We know Raymond Rowe and Hanson,
Yeah.
and what they've been through to get to this point, and to saddle them with the silly gimmicks where they're just eating fucking turkey legs and shit like that, like
Yeah.
it's embarrassing, and
I won't say they paid their dues, but they worked through it, which is good. You know what I mean? Because a lot of wrestlers,
a lot of injury setbacks.
Yeah. So I'm glad that they're finally getting that due.
Yeah, it's awesome stuff, man. I feel Triple H has just been on this crusade of correcting a lot of wrongs. I feel like at least maybe not all of them, but quite a bit of them.
Not everything's perfect, like always, but it's still really enjoyable television. And I think that it's going to get even better being on Netflix. I will be honest with you. I was a little worried at first, but truth be told, I think that they're going to have a lot more leeway to do maybe some of that more edgy stuff that people want.
And my hope is like I would enjoy them being edgy without being tacky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not talking about Mae Young giving birth to a hand edgy, or fucking a dead girl edgy. I don't know what
that wasn't even the Attitude Era, man.
I know.
That was ruthless aggression. Anyway, I guess that's really all I have right now with WWE. I mean, the Seth versus Punk stuff, it's interesting. We'll see how that all plays out.
It's two guys that can cut a good promo and will have a solid match in the ring. I don't know that I'm very invested in it. It's just I hate you. No, I hate you. Like, I don't know.
There needs to be a little bit more substance to their back and forth with each other.
I want Seth to bring the claws out.
Yeah,
like that's what I want. If they're gonna do this, they should do it right and really rip into each other.
Didn't
because
you
there's
like
enough juice.
CM Punk being super like what's the word I'm looking for?
Political.
Yeah, like just no being super cautious and walking back homophobic things he said after he said it. Like
Oh
when he
yeah,
called Seth Liberace and then he called him Elton John. And he was just like, yeah, you could never be Elton John. After he was just like, you could tell he processed in his head, oh wow, people might think I'm homophobic. I better like save myself.
yeah, he's a dumb bitch.
Yeah, yeah. Um, all right. Well, we'll see how that all plays out and how that affects Gunther. My hope out of all this is I don't want to see CM Punk fucking pin Gunther 1, 2, 3 because I ain't buying it.
You might see it.
Ugh. If it happens, man, I hope he cheats like a motherfucker. You know, I hope it's a heel CM Punk that does it because I can never believe like a CM Punk cleanly beats Gunther.
What is CM Punk right now? Because is he a baby face?
I've heard theories about he started off his promo and he was just like, anyone here a bad guy? He says, I'm a bad guy. And he said that. So maybe that's kind of
Yeah,
a foreshadowing of a heel
maybe,
turn.
but he needs a full blown heel because I mean, people cheer for him as a de facto baby face, but I think they want to cheer for Seth more in
Yeah,
this situation, just because
I
you know.
certainly do.
Yeah, I I'm just talking about the general WWE audience when I say that. Like you and I, we cheer for Seth for other reasons, right? The smart reasons, you know. But it's it'll be a good WrestleMania match. Seth always performs at Mania, and truth be told, if Punk ultimately does get his uh, WrestleMania main event, it will have been a good story. You know what I mean?
For sure. Absolutely. All right, some other things I want to talk about. One more thing with WWE before we close
Yeah.
up on that, just because this was so good and it's worth talking about because I felt like it was one of the best produced angles that I've seen in a long time, or maybe not angles, segments for an
Okay.
angle. Ethan Page and Javon Evans from NXT. Did you see what happened?
I did not.
Did you see this segment or what happened?
No,
All
I
right.
did not.
Well,
I did not catch any of that.
let me tell you this. Go and look it up after you're done with this show. Just to put it in a nutshell, basically Ethan Page has like kind of quote unquote lost his confidence in NXT
Yeah.
and he was about to go out. He went out to the crowd and he was just like falling apart and saying that like he's not the same guy that he is anymore. Um, Javon Evans comes out and kind of tries to be a helping hand and is just like, dude, I've seen you with your family. I've seen the real you before. I know the real Ethan Page. And Ethan Page, in his moment of like weakness and stuff, is just saying to Javon, who's just like, actually, you don't know the real me. And he hits him in the back of the head. And then he puts the chair around Javon Evans' neck and he stomps the chair. Javon Evans just starts coughing up blood everywhere. And just the way that it was shot, the way that it happened was just so shocking and impactful and well done. And another thing about it too is people are kind of calling it the Ethan Page lost his smiles moment.
Okay.
And ironically enough, it was in the same town that that Shawn Michaels had lost his smile, did that infamous promo, and he was wearing the same color jacket too. So yeah. So it was just kind of a low key tribute to that. And
Is it like, or is it just complete and utter arrogance from Shawn Michaels?
hey, man, he didn't say verbatim he lost his smile.
He does it a lot, though, man.
I think it. You know what? It works, and you know what? A lot of these guys, you may hate to say it, may hate to admit it, they're marks for HBK. I
Yeah,
don't think that any of these guys mind. They're probably jumping at the opportunity to do like some sort of pseudo tribute storyline to
I
Shawn
just
Michaels.
I just think it's corny, man. I think it's overdone because I feel like this is like the third or
Listen,
fourth time that
take
he's
yourself away from the Shawn Michaels HBK comparison and just watch the segment and decide for yourself because I thought it was extremely well done
I'm sure
and
it's a
I am
great segment. I'm sure
very
it's a great
interested
segment.
very
But
interested in next week.
I'm 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 sure it's a great segment. Ethan Page is great. I haven't really been following NXT because I think a lot of it is silly, to be honest with you. So it's just one show that I just don't get into anymore, unfortunately. But I'm gonna watch the segment. I'm gonna go out of my way and I'll try and watch it next week if I'm not working, which I don't know. But I don't know. I just think it's the tribute. There's a how much homage do you have to pay to the guy, like via segment?
I don't know. I liked it. I
I'm
liked it a
sure it's
lot.
great.
It
I'm sure
doesn't
it's
get
great.
to me like it gets to you.
I'm sure it's great, and I'm sure I'll enjoy it. I enjoyed the "Lost My Smile" segment. Right,
Mhm.
it was great. All right.
All right. AEW. The first thing I want to talk about here with AEW, really just going to talk about positive things in AEW
Yeah.
for the most part this week. First of all, well, this could be a positive or a negative depending on how you look at it and how you
Okay.
feel.
Hit me.
Everything that's going on with Ricochet right now, from him obviously doing like a slow burn heel turn, him wanting to get into the Hurt business, a Hurt Syndicate. That is this new catchphrase that he has, which is basically, it was a Jadakiss that would do that.
The screech.
Yeah,
I don't remember. I'm sure it was a rapper of some form,
I think it
but
might have been Jadakiss.
possibly.
Whoever's listening right now that knows the answer is probably gonna fucking backhand me across the face.
That's probably fair. Both
Yeah,
of us, really.
yeah.
Um,
If I'm wrong, that is. And yeah, you know what, man? Everything that's going on with Ricochet right now, I think is a good thing
okay,
because
I thought you were gonna hate on it for a second. I actually
he
really,
is he's leaning in to how much of a fucking dork that he comes off as.
and he
You know?
leaned into it heavy in his match against Osprey on Collision this past weekend. I just watched that today.
I watched that too. I
He
watched that
wrestled.
too.
He wrestled
And
way heel, like way heel.
yeah, he got toilet paper thrown at him.
Yeah,
Um, he beat Osprey.
yeah,
Spoiler alert for anyone that didn't watch. And the way that he did it was he very casually kicked the referee's ass, and the referee fell into the ropes as Osprey was up on the ropes,
yeah.
and that led to Ricochet hitting his finisher and getting the win. Um, but the rejection, going back to Dynamite 2, he got uh, MVP's business card ripped up by MVP
Yep.
as Ricochet looked.
Nobody likes to kiss ass. I get
No,
it.
because nobody likes to kiss ass. I think that over the next few weeks, Ricochet is just going to be doing more and more dastardly shit until he curries the favor of the Hurt Syndicate.
He's gonna have to hurt somebody, and
Yeah,
he's it's interesting that on the same show that Ricochet beat Osprey, by dastardly means, that Shelton lost to Daniel Garcia.
yeah. I didn't see that match yet, but yeah,
Saw it.
I figured Garcia won because I looked at the standings.
Okay, yeah. Sorry to have spoiled it for you,
Oh, it's all
yeah.
good.
Um,
And they're in two different leagues, right? Shelton and
yeah, I'm just
Ricochet.
saying for the sense of storytelling, where MVP could be a little disappointed in Shelton, but be a little bit impressed with Ricochet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's sort of a balancing
Ricochet's
act.
got 9 points now.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, man. I'm excited to see this happen with Ricochet. I think in WWE, he was just the same character for so long. I think that people, aside from like the initial debut, pretty lukewarm in general to Ricochet's tenure in AEW to this point, because essentially he is just the same guy that he
They
was
didn't
in
really have anything
WWE.
for him immediately.
What was that?
They didn't really have anything for him immediately. I think the Continental Classic and the Hurt Syndicate have really gone a long way in establishing him as a real, I don't want to say threat, but not even just as a presence in on the roster.
Honestly, man, in like AEW terms too, like Ricochet by himself, I don't really buy it as a main eventer.
No.
Ricochet with MVP by his side, I do kind of buy as a main eventer.
Maybe, but still, he's gonna still be overshadowed.
I mean, they're gonna have to build to that.
Yeah,
but I can see them get to that point.
Yeah, maybe upper mid card, but main eventer. I like I said, Lashley's in the same stable. It's gonna be hard to overtake that that mantle as the guy in the stable from Lashley.
Yeah. I mean, there are guys that have come into AEW that you didn't think were just going to be main eventers rather quickly. And like someone like Swerve came in. I don't think people immediately thought he was going to be a main event guy.
No,
but he proved everyone to be that
now you could argue that he is the main event guy.
Yeah.
Honestly. I don't know that. I mean, him and Ospreay are probably two guys that if you really, really need to book a main event, that you can pluck them and put them into any situation.
Yeah. And those are also two guys that they really need to be a part of the Death Riders storyline.
Yes.
Like I want to see Swerve going at it with Moxley.
I have a feeling Kenny's going to be involved.
Yeah.
And he's supposed to be back soon. So
Kenny is like less than 2 weeks from his comeback.
Yeah, he's supposed to be back. I thought he was supposed to be back before World's End.
January 4th.
Well, I meant, but on AEW TV, he's supposed to be back before World's End. I thought he's going to be showing up on Dynamite this week.
Oh, is he?
I believe so. Maybe I dreamed it, but I think so.
Hey, you might be right, man. Just got a sad notification of Tank Dell moving to IR.
Oof.
That was really rough to see yesterday.
Yeah, not a great injury when you make your quarterback cry. And I'm not insulting him. I was emotional for CJ.
Yeah, it was really hard. And while on the subject of sports, RIP the one of the best baseball players ever, Ricky Henderson.
Oh, Ricky, yeah. Dude. Not a lot. A lot of athletes are known by a single name, but Ricky is iconic in that department. And speaking in the third person, obviously, I think Ricky Henderson had a lot to do with some of The Rock's promo skills. To be completely honest with you.
Yeah, that's a good example. The one that I have heard most of the time is JR was talking to The Rock and referring to Deion Sanders.
Yeah.
He's also somebody but Deion Sanders probably took that from Ricky Henderson.
Probably.
Honest,
but both great examples of it.
Yeah.
And I mean, the all-time stolen bases leader, and, one of my favorite players growing up as a kid.
My God. Yeah. Yeah, definitely lucky enough to have seen him play. Saw him play for the Athletics most of the time. That's the team I associate with him the most.
Yeah, me too.
Mm-hmm. All right, RIP Ricky, but let's continue to talk about wrestling.
Hey, I got wrestling in there.
Yeah, we did. So also in AEW, we've seen a continuation of this Tony Storm storyline. So I guess we got a little bit more clarity as to why she was just kind of thrown onto an episode of Rampage.
I
Like
love it.
they're playing it as if she just started with the company and
You
she's a
gotta.
rock star now. She's got her old original gimmick and stuff, and I'm interested in this. I'm wondering when they're going to go back to Mariah May with her.
I'm sure it'll be soon enough, but like we all looked real silly when we shit on that Rampage move, but like none of us stopped to think, man,
I
like is
didn't.
RJ City gonna like
I still
let this
don't.
happen?
I still don't necessarily agree with the move. Like
But it makes sense.
it.
It's the story. And if you want to talk about stories and being well done, that is a albeit it pissed us off, but that's what a good story is going to do sometimes.
Yeah, I don't know. I still think that you could tell the story, but put it on Dynamite or Collision. I mean, Rampage is just such a dead show to me.
Yeah.
That's all I gotta say.
Yeah, Collision would have been better.
Yeah, it's okay though. We don't got ourselves in a tizzy over it anymore.
We got crazy Tony.
Is,
that's all that
yeah,
matters.
Yeah, the storyline is a lot of fun, and I had just seen her interaction with Deonna Purrazzo on Collision too, and introduced herself to Deonna, and Deonna's just like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
And that's it's gonna be great. It's gonna permeate throughout the entire show, and Tony Storm's gonna be back to being one of the faces of AEW, and it's gonna be wonderful. Like it's just great to have her back.
Yeah, absolutely, man. A lot of fun stuff. Let's just kind of go to the Continental Classic standings right now. I'm just going to read them off to you.
Yeah.
In the Blue League, in the lead is Mark Briscoe.
Love that.
Mark Briscoe.
I love it.
Kyle Fletcher, both at 9 points.
And Mark Briscoe's got the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm. He does. And then we got Okada at 7, Garcia at 7, Shelton Benjamin at 6, and poor old Frank Mordos at 0 points.
That's so unfortunate. They should have given him at least a draw.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he will beat has he faced all these guys yet?
I'm only looking at the actual point standings. I don't have the grid in front of me.
Yeah, I don't have the grid in front of me either. I think that Mark Briscoe doesn't win his next match. I think Kyle Fletcher doesn't win his next match. I think that Okada narrowly sneaks in there with 10 points over their 9 points.
And who's Okada have left? I don't remember.
Don't know.
We'll see.
We'll see how it all plays out. I still think Okada comes out of it somehow. Out of the
I haven't looked at the math of it. I'm gonna study the math of it tonight because I really do want to know. I haven't finished all of it.
And in the Gold League, we have in the league Claudio Castagnoli 9 points, Ricochet with 9 points, Darby Allin with 6, Will Ospreay with 6. Let's just talk about it right now. Darby Allin and Will Ospreay, maybe, possibly, certainly in the conversation for like TV match of the year, wouldn't you say?
I'd say if it's not one, it's 1A. I'd have to think about it, but
it was just wildly good. And these guys
were a lot of recency bias with us, right? We see a lot of matches in a year, especially on TV. But honestly, like
I just thought beat for beat, all the transitions they did made sense. The story that they told in that match was just so well done, and by the point of Darby Allin winning, it was just kind of like, okay, yes, he earned that, and it to get to this point, it all made sense.
Okada's got Okada's got Shelton Benjamin left.
Oh, okay.
So
all right.
But I thought Darby versus Will Ospreay for the first time ever absolutely delivered. That was a pay-per-view quality match on TV.
Yeah. Agreed, man. Great stuff.
Goldie.
Man.
There it is.
Yeah, that was and I guess I've been a little bit harsh on Darby. Mostly has to do with his booking of his character.
Through the death row.
Do kind of get sick of like his wrestling style too, but can't really deny the fact that there isn't really anyone else like him doing what he does. And when you put him in a match with someone like Will Ospreay, they can make incredible magic together, and they did there. And hats off to both of them for just putting out one of the most memorable
might
matches.
be an insane person, but he's an insanely talented wrestler as well.
Yeah.
Like there's no question about that.
Mm-hmm. For sure, man. I can't deny it. I think Darby's probably going to be facing Ricochet soon.
Yep. That's either on Dynamite or Collision next week.
Okay. And then I think we got Claudio and
Commander.
So
Claudio's trying to win that.
And then Brody King against Ospreay. That's a match I never knew I wanted.
Yeah, and Ricochet versus Darby Allin.
Ooh. Wow. So this is all going to fucking rule.
Yeah, I think Claudio ultimately we're gonna get Claudio versus Okada. That's the way.
You think so?
I think that's the way it's gonna break down.
You think it's gonna be two heels against each other?
I do.
I think it's gonna be Okada versus Ricochet.
You think Ricochet beats Darby for 12?
Yes. I think he cheats again.
So you think, but that means that Commander would have to beat
Claudio? Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
And I don't think that happens.
I don't know. Maybe he maybe he wins. Isn't there like a 2-point system?
No, it's only 1 and 3.
It's only 1 and 3. Okay.
Yeah. They'd have to. Maybe he somehow maybe he time limit draws him. Maybe, but that's the only path that Ricochet has to win.
You know how Commander time limit draws with Claudio?
How's that?
A lot of cat and mouse.
A lot of cat.
He's just like running. He's just running from him.
It's 20 minutes, man. That's a lot. We better get your cardio up, Commander.
Yeah.
I don't know what to tell you, boss.
It's a lot of work for 1 point. All right. So, yeah, AEW, you know, for all its headaches sometimes, just wrestling's awesome.
They booked a couple of good shows, man. It wasn't anything. Some solid build up. Mm-hmm. I think they did a little bit more fleshing out of the end of the story for Adam Cole and MJF, so that'll be good. Because that's something I think we want to see end.
Yeah, MJF went there.
He went there. So I think we're going to see the end in this. This is going to be their blow off. I'm hoping.
Yeah, and, I think so.
Yeah, there's a lot of good stuff going on. Can't talk about it all though. So.
Yeah, I will also want to mention like my favorite thing that happened this week,
which
was at Ring of Honor Final Battle in Hammerstein.
Yep.
And Lee Moriarty open challenge match for the ROH Pure Championship. Who answers this open challenge but Nigel McGuinness?
None other.
And they went on to have one of the most cerebral and well thought out technical matches of the year. And I thought it was brilliant. I love the story that they told in there. If you're familiar with the Pure Wrestling rules style of matches, and especially the way that Nigel McGuinness would use those rules to his advantage, it's great stuff. I think that like Lee Moriarty is like living my like fantasy wrestling camp life, like the same way that people would go to like fantasy baseball camp and play with like their favorite players. Like everyone that like Lee Moriarty has had the chance to like wrestle one-on-one with has just been a who's who of like my heroes as well. Like he's wrestled Alex Shelley, he's wrestled Bryan Danielson, he's wrestled Shibata, and now he gets to wrestle Nigel McGuinness. Which, by the way, I became a real big fan of Lee Moriarty because he was one of the guys that I noticed that was using a lot of Nigel McGuinness's moveset.
Yep.
And it's so amazing and full circle to see finally he was the one. He got to wrestle in the Hammerstein Ballroom against Nigel McGuinness at a place where Nigel has sold out countless events for Ring of Honor. And it was just a really special moment. And you knew that the fans that were in the audience too were like old school Ring of Honor fans.
It's crazy to me because this is you mentioned Hammerstein, and I don't mean to cut you off, but
and I was lucky enough to have gone to a Ring of Honor show at Hammerstein Ballroom in 2011. I was with John.
It's the perfect wrestling venue for small companies like AEW and Ring of Honor.
Yeah,
it's absolutely perfect, and I think that AEW would serve them well to have some sort of a residency there, because the crowd kicked ass. The show was great.
Yeah,
it's the right place for AEW.
It's going to benefit AEW in general for running smaller venues where there's more intimate crowd that's there, and because the smaller the venue, if there's limited seats available, the fans that are actually going to be there and into it are the ones that are really into it,
and they're going to pay the money for the seats because there's going to be less of them.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And Tony Khan's got a lot of money. He doesn't. I'm sure it's still going to work out with him working these smaller venues, and I think it's going to be better to build the brand this way. I think it's the shows are going to look a lot more exciting.
The TV is going to come off better.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, although I did notice one thing that production wise that was just bugging me recently, and I don't know why it didn't really register with me before. I think they need to dim the lights a little bit. I think it's a really bright show. Mm-hmm. I think they should make it a little dingier, a little darker. Not for the edginess. I just think aesthetically it's a better look. Personally,
That's fair. I mean, even looking between AEW and Ring of Honor, I think the production should be a little bit different. And you could even say that too with WWE main shows and NXT.
I completely agree. I think that NXT, but the best NXT is what I'm nostalgic for, and I want that darker look from Black and Gold, right? Like that's what I want. But can't win them all.
Even in like NXT's best times, they still had like WWE style production values, though.
But it still felt different.
Yeah,
I think it felt different then.
I don't know, man, but it's been a fucking great week in wrestling. I don't think we're leaving anything too serious out, but I'm definitely looking forward to Raw tonight.
Even though I have some money on the football game, I think I'm going to watch Raw instead.
Did you do a bet with Mr. Cody Brown?
I did. I took his parlay tonight.
Okay, I'm gonna have to take a look at that.
It's not bad. I only
Smarknado is brought to you by Cody Brown Bets.
We got to get a sponsorship now.
Yeah, I know. Seriously. All right, everyone. As always, follow us on Instagram at Smarknado, on Twitter at Smarknado1. Leave us a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts, and go check out our link tree. Dan's pointing to it right now. That QR code right there. All right. So I want to wish everyone a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa. I still haven't met anyone that celebrates Kwanzaa. If you know anything about Kwanzaa and want,
shoot us an email.
But yeah, stay warm, everybody.
Yeah. I gotta give a big shout out to friend of the show, Omar. I received a package today with a painting of myself. I'm sure all the other lads are gonna get some too. It was really fucking awesome, and my wife even said, "Holy shit, that looks just like you." So big fucking shout out to Omar. And stay fresh,
Talent,
Tuesday.
talented lad, that Omar. We love you, bro. Keep watching wrestling.